Welcome to the Consciousness Anywhere and Everywhere podcast. I am Shannon O'Hara, and I invite you to a completely new world of possibilities. Welcome, everybody out there in the universe. So happy to have you here seeking greater consciousness. And today, I hope this conversation sparks some possibilities. My good friend, Brendan Watt, is joining me.
Hello.
And the question, the possibility, what can we create from a world of possibilities?
Everything.
So what is a world of possibilities?
Well, it's a space where we actually get to create beyond what we've been told we can't create. Like for a lot of us, what we do is we stop ourselves. We so have to get in our way of everything that we create to make sure that we can control it and we can limit it enough so that we can keep our future in check, basically, so that we can have it predictable and we can have it show up the way that it may be a little bit better than everybody else's, or it may just be a little bit out there, but it's not too much out there because you don't want too much. You don't want to stand out too much. And it basically is a place where it's a space from which you can ask for anything, and you start opening up to not only receiving more, but being more. And most people look at it though and go, yeah, but that sounds too easy. And that's the other thing with the world of possibilities. It actually is. And I know for me and probably for you too, Shannon, it's like the easiest and the most joyful times in my life have been when I've just gotten out of the way. I've just been like, okay, I'm going to allow this to show up, however it shows up.
The easiest and the most scary, exciting.
Yeah.
Terrified. We were talking before I started recording, and I was telling you, because you actually have a class coming up with this title, what would you choose based on a world of possibilities?
Yeah.
And I was looking at this possibilities topic and sort of expressing to you what a hard slog I think it is as a facilitator with working with possibilities and people. You know, I did a possibilities call recently. Actually, it was the 4 elements of true creation, one of which of those elements is possibility. And I was blown away how difficult that call was. It was actually the hardest call of the whole class. People were super checked out. It was almost like I didn't even know why I was talking to people about this stuff. And I thought maybe there's something I'm not getting about possibilities. Maybe of course, I thought it was me, right? So then fast forward, you and I were both participating in an advanced class that Gary and Dane were facilitating. And Dad comes in that day and he goes, today we're going to talk about possibilities. And I thought, okay, cool. I'll listen. I'm going to listen here because maybe there's something I missed that I didn't get, that I didn't say, that I didn't ask right, that I might be able to learn from him. And I watched the exact same thing occur when he tried to talk to people or access greater possibilities in that class. It was sort of just like this. No one really wanted to talk about it. They wanted to talk about what was difficult, not what was possible.
Yeah. And that too is the difficulty ceases in a world of possibilities too, but the difficulty gives us that sense of what we've decided we are. Like it gives us that definition of us. As long as I've got some difficulty, then I know I have a job, or I know I have something to do, or I know I'm valuable, or I know that people need me. And this world of possibilities, like it truly comes with no definition. And I think the thing that most people find it hard to even hear or like even with us talking about it is you can't define it. It has no limits. It has no boundaries. And it really is this place where it is total exploration of what else.
And if anything and everything was possible, then what are you going to do about that? How much of the story that you tell yourself on a daily basis about how this isn't working or that's not working ceases to exist because everything becomes possible?
Well, that's another thing too, though. It's like everything that you've decided is valuable ceases to exist, and it's all of those things that
I think we need to freeze frame on that, rewind it, and focus. So everything that you've decided, everything that you've decided is valuable ceases to
valuable
exist.
ceases to exist. Yeah. And I remember your dad said years and years ago when I first started Access, he was saying everything that I thought was real and true turned out to be a lie. And I was like, what do you mean
Does
by
that mean? Yeah. Yeah.
I never like truly got it until
Yeah.
probably recently when I started seeing in my life that everything that I decided was real and true about me and about the world was actually a lie. Like it didn't exist in this world of possibilities. It existed in a world of limitation. And I could define it. I could be comfortable with it. I could have a sense of like that sense of who I am, like that image of me within it. And I've realized a lot recently where it's like there's so much more beyond it. But that so much more beyond it can seem so uncomfortable because you can't define it. You can't exclude everything. You can't exclude anything in order to explore it. So it's like you go from this thing of going, this is how it is, this is how it must be, to, wow, I wonder what else is beyond this. And it truly is I would say a world of the unknown, but it's not actually unknown. It's just it's just undefinable
and largely unexplored.
Very largely, it is the desert of the unexplored. Yes,
it's unexplored, but it is the thing about possibilities. They are knowable, they are achievable, they are conceivable, they are possible. And I think that statement of like when you create or choose from a world of possibilities, you sort of lose everything that you thought was valuable. That statement is, I really think, one of the keys here is in that. I would love to give some examples of that. And I wonder if you could as well. Like, yeah, I remember, like, how many of you guys out there listening right now have this definition of the way in which your life needs to show up, or your body needs to look, or that your relationship needs to look, or, and that's this definition of, if I can get it like this, then I'll finally be valuable. I'll finally be right. I'll finally be something. And that's all the things that I thought were real. Like, if I behave this way, I'll get this result. If I, make this choice, it'll equal this, this, and this. To recognize that, yes, this could equal this, this, and this, but there's all these other possibilities too.
Yeah. And that thing with, it's like once we come to a decision of, well, I need this to show up in my life like this, we usually accomplish it in some way. Like if it's, well, I need this certain amount of money before I get my life right, or in my body to be like this, or I need this relationship. But we put all of our energy, we put all of our energy into focusing on what we've decided we need in our future and what we've decided is going to get it right. And it shows up so slow and miserably because the universe can't.
Or doesn't show up at all.
Or it doesn't show up at all, but it's like, but we eliminate everything else that we can receive because we're not even, like if you looked at it, like you've got a spotlight focused on one thing in the future or several things. That's all you can see. But it's like you've got this whole other, you got this whole other universe out there that's going, but I'm here too, But you've got to see the thing with the universe, and what I love about it and the way that it works is if you don't ask for it, you won't receive it. So it's like if you're going, yeah, my life is boring and this is the only way my life is going to show up, that's how it's showing up. And I've learned that over the years when I get myself in a hole is I'm asking for less. I'm not asking for more.
Right. And that's what's so exciting / daunting / seemingly fairy tale land about creating from a world of possibilities is that if you're creating from a world of possibilities, you're always in the question of how can this show up? What are the possibilities here, rather than I need it to look this way, or this is and I mean, the thing that is really big, I mean, for me about this possibility conversation is possibilities is a massive aspect of creation. Like it is one of the 4 elements of true creation. The other 3 are question, choice, and possibility, or contribution.
Yeah.
And so when you're open to possibility, like when there's something that you know needs to be created, like residency visa or $1,000 or, a renovation on your house or something, right? Like, how many of you guys, when I said those things, already the ways in which you think you can achieve those popped up? Like, you do that this way. Rather than, okay, so what are all the possibilities here that I can't even see? And that's where we get that's when creation becomes our companion rather than something we're constantly driving away from our lives.
Yeah. And like I said, companion, definitely. It's like, when you have that sense that you're going to be taken care of no matter what.
Yeah.
It's such a trust in yourself and a trust in the universe that you just know that life is going to open up, that possibilities are going to be there waiting for you. And I've had, like, when I moved here to the US 18 months ago, I was about to get on a flight to Budapest to come and do a facilitators class. And that morning I canceled the flight. That day they shut down the US and a lot of Europe. And if I would have left on that flight, which I could have, if I would have left on that flight, I wouldn't have gotten back into the US. I would have ended up in Australia in the lockdown. And I knew to cancel that flight and to stay here. And it was interesting because I look at my life now and I'm like, wow, it would be completely different if I would have that one choice. But also along the way, like, I've gotten the residency visa and I've had all of these different things show up based on my willingness to just go, I have no clue how this is going to look. I just know I need to do it. And I know it's going to create more for my life.
Yeah. And it's so interesting because most people really only open up to possibilities as the last resort.
True story. And and that's when very true story. You know, and you're like, oh my God, I need something to change right now. And it does. But then you're like, oh, that must have just been like chance, or must have been a one-off miracle.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is so interesting. I mean, which is so interesting because even just listening to this conversation that we're having and knowing that we're putting it out into the world for review, for digestion, for participation, for, possibility. And it's sort of this daunting, I'm enthusiastic and I'm aware of what, like, the massive challenge that possibility is facing in the world, as like possibility is seen like as less than decision or less than definition or less than, rightness or conclusion. And it's like, when you look at that, it's like possibility is truly like one of the last unicorns.
Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly. And I would say even for that, with people looking at it, it's like, well, look at what our standard ways have gotten us. Like, if we look at the way that we've aligned and agreed and we've gone to, the positive of what things are, or resisted and reacted and fought against them. And it's like, if we look at where the world is now with everything, it's not necessarily working. So which doesn't mean that we have to go down the same path as everybody else. You can step off that path and go, okay, so what do I see as possible here? What would I like to choose? But also in that, because I see where a lot of people do it too, where it's like, yeah, well, it's easy to talk about it, or, I guess maybe you've done it. But I would say, look at one time in your life when you got out of the way. Like you said, like in an emergency, or when it really needed to change.
Last resort, yeah.
Last resort. And it's like, and look at that and go, okay, so what was I willing to be in that moment? And then go, oh, I actually wasn't in my way. I was out of control. I was totally out of control, and I wasn't trying to define it. If you can choose that in the moment, what would it be like if you chose it more?
Right. And that, what were you in that moment? It's like open out of desperation. Like, there was no other choice. You had to surrender and be open.
That you had to surrender. Yeah. Surrender to exactly. You had to surrender. Get out of your way quickly.
Which is so interesting if you look at, like, the way the world, the ways in which we have been creating the world and our lives, which of course most people aren't questioning. But if you're listening to this podcast, I'm pretty sure you have questioned why things work the way they do in the world and have been looking for some other possibility. There's got to be another possibility here. And and to recognize that around us, each moment, literally in each moment, is is a possibility. It's one of the most.
Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
No, I was just going to say that the possibilities that exist, even in everything that you've decided is a limitation in your life now. See, it's like, it's not even about going, it's not even about seeing everything that's not working in your life as a limitation from the world of possibilities and creating from that. It's seeing the gift in everything. And that's the difference is a lot of people will say, well, okay, I've got to throw my life away and everything that's not working in order to create from this world of possibilities. No, the world of possibilities exists in everything from this space of allowance. And that's where we give up on possibilities, is we go into this fight, we go into this is how it is, and we go out of allowance rather than, wow, I wonder what the gift of this is that I'm not seeing. And you start seeing, and I know I'm speaking for myself personally here, is you start seeing everything in your life as a gift from this space of possibilities. And it's just like, oh, wow, I've really kind of been treating that like shit, or I've been neglecting that, or I've been judging myself for that, or I've been judging them for that, or whatever it is. But you start going, wow, that's actually a true gift in my life also, and I've never seen it that way.
Right. And even breaking your leg can lead to more possibilities. And most of the time when we do have these disruptive events, actually maybe even every time when we have these disruptive events, whether it's a broken leg or a divorce or World War 15, that it's even like in the worst of circumstances to recognize that like that's a possibility. This is actually a possibility. And that's, I believe, where we like lost our, receiving, the ability to actually receive the gift in every moment, as you've actually used that word gift.
Yeah.
That's wow. So is getting more possibilities, or I'm not even really sure how to say it, but it's possibilities, is blank, blank, blank possibilities about seeing everything as a gift rather than as the imposition or the wrongness that we can tend to judge it by.
Yeah, definitely. And we go to that wrongness because it doesn't already match our fixed points of view.
Right.
So it's like,
wow.
So this is where we've already eliminated the world of possibilities, is where we don't allow anything to come in that we can't judge as right or wrong, or it doesn't match our image or our personality or the way that we've been shown how to live, or the way that we've predetermined our lives. And I know I could talk about 10 hours of just what I just said then, but it's like, but we don't allow anything in to show us anything different, because we've already come to a decision of what it is.
Exactly. We don't allow anything in to show us anything different. And I have actually a really great example of that. A few days ago, my husband and I were driving out of northern Italy and up into Switzerland and then up north through Germany. And if you guys out there in the world don't know, all of northern Italy is not all, the majority of the northern Italy border is surrounded by the Alps. So it's a mountain border. And to get out of Italy driving north, you either go under a tunnel under Mont Blanc, which is the highest peak in Europe, or you go over the Alps. You got to go under or over. And we were leaving Italy and we just had this, knowing we had a lot of driving ahead of us, I was like, let's make good time. This is like, we need to have an efficient driving time and no traffic. And I was all decided about, this is the way that I think that this trip should go. And as we're going through the Alps, like, you just cannot, like, there are some of those are just like 2-lane highways that go through winding, like up and up and up into the heavens. And there's tons of tunnels and there's accidents. And so we get to this tunnel and all of a sudden the traffic stopped. And I'm like, oh, great. What's this? Totally upset about it in the first place, but the traffic stopped us right at the exact point where we could pull off the highway. If we had been one car ahead, we would have been stuck in this traffic jam that was probably there for hours because of the accident in the tunnel. But we got off right there on the ramp, and then they were diverting the traffic up over the mountain through the old road. And oh my God, the beauty of taking this old road that we wouldn't have seen. We would have been going through a tunnel for 20 minutes. And it was like, at first I was pissed. And then like 10 minutes in, I was like, holy shit, why would I be pissed about this? And it was like the beauty of seeing this old winding Alpine road that was just going up and up and up through the clouds, like through the Alps. And that was just one example of the first moment of inconvenience. I'm like, crap. And then, then the universe shows me, but look at this beauty. And that's like again and again and again.
Yeah. Good example though, because that's how most people live their lives is you snapped out of it. I mean, you did 10 minutes of it, which is awesome. Yeah. Most people do all day of it and go, well, that didn't match what I decided my day should be like.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna rail against it and fight against it until I get it back in line with the way I've decided it should go. And it's like,
and that whole time that they're railing against it and fighting against it, they're missing the gift that's around them.
Yep.
That the universe was like, well, that road we're going to block you from going on that road. But like, what's that saying? When one door closes, many more are open.
Yep.
That's true.
That is true in a world of possibilities. And it's like, and you have choice. And that's the other thing in a world of possibilities is you have true choice. You don't see true choice doesn't exist it doesn't really exist in this reality. It's basically, it basically is put in front of you as this is what you can choose from, but there's nothing beyond it. And this world of possibilities it comes from, because you would look at it and go, well, what do you mean though by like true choice? Well, if you had the choice between seeing the beautiful countryside and seeing the gift that experience was, or you had the choice of you could be pissed, then you had different choices. Like that opened up your whole world. And it's like, so we have infinite choices in every moment that we don't even get. We don't even begin to tap into because we've already made our decision. We do it with so many areas of our lives. Like I know where I've done it in relationship, where it's like, I have to get this relationship to be this certain way. And it's like, it allows for nothing but a constant state of conflict against what can't work that way. And that's the other thing when you're out of this world of possibilities is you expect everything around you to change the way that you need it to change, but you can't change anything but you. And that's the big part is we can't change anything but us. It has to begin with us. And if you truly desire possibilities, it has to be from the space from which you can choose, not which everybody else has to fall in line with in order for you to create it.
Right, because that's not possibilities, that's control.
Yeah.
What are the infinite possibilities? Well, that you do it this way, this way, this way, this way, this way, and this way, and this way.
Yeah. Well, and can I just say I think the most used question or process that I've used is, what would it take for me to be out of control, out of definition, out of limitation, out of form, structure, significance, out of linearities, and out of concentricities for all eternity with total ease.
And that's actually like the free all to get you into the slipstream of possibilities.
Yeah.
Out of control, out of definition. And it's so incredible. Like, as you guys hear this right now, as you're listening to this, it's like how many controls and definitions, let alone form and structure and significance, you have crowding in your universe and just like smashing in on your space constantly. It's like, I'm always blown away whenever I'm like, okay, what would it take for me to be out of control? And I'm like, Jesus, like, I don't even notice how controlling I'm being until I'm like, okay, wait, let's try out of control. I'm like, wow, I was being so controlling. It's like constant. And so it's such that control that's so prevalent and so popular and so normal in our world is the antithesis of possibility.
It is the antithesis of possibilities. And it's also our anchor to this reality. It's our anchor to normality. As long as you've got control, then you can make sure you maintain a foothold in the world of normal.
Well, I'll tell you all what. It's like, man, oh man, you can try and control God's great kingdom into everything that you've decided it should be, and you might succeed maybe 0.5% out of a trillion. But if you don't choose the path of control and you open up to what might be possible, does that get a lot easier?
Yeah. And I'll say I'm gonna top your I'm gonna add a cherry on top of your melon thing. Is if you do control, you can most certainly get to be better than everybody else, but you'll never become as great as you.
I love it. I love it.
I love it.
Yeah.
Too.
Yep. So, like, what else is truly possible? Thank you so much. Thank you, Brendan. Thank you so much for like being willing to have this conversation. And you're going to be doing a class live in Italy, but also live streamed around the world, Creation from a World of Possibilities. So it's like, I commend you, and I like will be rooting you on, because that I think it's like trying to teach. It's like basically trying to learn about possibilities is like trying to like basically learn some like foreign alphabet. That's hard. It's like initially you're like, wait, why am I doing this? This goes against everything I've already been taught and everywhere I function from. So it's like learning about possibilities. It's like this, like I said, it's like this last unicorn. It's like you think it's this good thing, but really like the scarcity of it can feel challenging at times, because you're choosing possibilities in a world or amongst a world that just isn't acknowledging the possibility exists.
Yeah. Well, I have a whole universe to help me facilitate it, so I'll be fine.
Beautiful. Yay.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, my friend.
I love having conversations with you.
Well, I love having conversations that access more consciousness. So, what else is possible? How does it get better than this? Thank you guys all for tuning in.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to this show. My target is to make consciousness easy to find and choose. So if you enjoyed this podcast, please leave a 5-star review on iTunes and share this with somebody who you know who might be looking for more consciousness in their life. You can visit me on shannon-o'hara.com or talktotheentities.com. And to learn more about the amazing tools of Access Consciousness, you can visit accessconsciousness.com and be sure to subscribe to the podcast.